Afternoon guys, I'm going to do a video on the FurQuad core strategy and some of the trades I've taken this morning. Now I wasn't at the charts yesterday because it was a bank holiday in the UK, so today was my first day of the week back trading. I had a quick look at the charts, what happened with the price yesterday, and where it is in relation to the weekly open price, which is what we use obviously for our trade signals. Now being as I've come to the charts on a Tuesday, the yellow line on each chart you see is the weekly open. So if I go across the charts, you've got weekly open, and weekly open. Now, price above the weekly open, as we know, we're looking for longs. When I came to the charts this morning, starting at the left on the Aussie dollar yen, price was above the weekly open, so I would have been looking for longs, which would have meant me placing long orders around that sort of area there. And at the time that was a buy yesterday, so I wasn't getting to the charts until this sort of time, around here, around that sort of time there is when I got to the charts. So we can see price is making lower bars there, and as price developed during the morning session, it's continued to fall off. Now the last completed 4-hour bar that we can see there, which was the bar that ended at 2 o'clock, that gave me a new trade signal, as it was an ideal bar, straddled the weekly open. At the time the weekly ATR to the downside had more than been done, so there was no short trade option for me. So I placed a pending long order, which you can see with the blue line there. The red line is where the stop was being placed. So that was a pending long trade. Now up until, we can see the current live price there, price continued to sell off. Up until this bar closes, that pending order is still live, but I don't, to be honest with you, I don't foresee that the live price coming back up and triggering that bar, so that trade, I think, can quite safely, that pending order can quite safely be disregarded. So there's nothing further to do on the Aussie dollar yen. Coming to the middle chart there, that's the euro dollar. I'll just zoom in a little bit so we can see what's happening. Similar scenario, similar setup. Weekly open, which is the yellow line. I've come to the charts at a round about little red bar there, the little bearish bar there. That's where I've come to the charts, which is just there. That's today. That's today's price action. And the first thing I noticed is prices below the weekly open, so I'm looking for shorts. I look at the weekly ATR to make sure there was still potential left in the day for me for any short trades, which there were. So I placed my trigger levels where those lines are. So the red line is the short trigger level, as I'm looking for shorts, and the blue line is my stop. That's where the stop loss would have been. Now you can see from the green dotted lines I marked up on the charts, they were the target levels that I was looking for. So first, second and third target. Now for me on the euro dollar, 10% of a weekly ATR gives me 35 points. So each of those targets represents 35 points, then another 35, then another 35, etc. And you can see today the euro dollar has done very nicely for me, and it's hit all three of my targets there. So I'm all out now of the euro dollar. Nothing further to do on that trade there until I see some form of retracement, as the weekly ATR has been done. So it's nice to see some retracement, maybe give me some potential back for the week. Moving on to my last of my core strategy pairs is the pound yen. Briefly again, weekly open, looking for long and short triggers. So prices above the weekly open, looking for longs. Prices below, we're looking for shorts. Coming to the charts at this sort of area, which is today's action, Tuesday's action. You see that price is above the weekly open, but price is selling off. So at this point in the charts, there was no at this point in the chart, so there was no new long trade triggers for me as the bars were bearish. As we moved into the afternoon session, which is on this bar here, that completed at 10 AM, so the next live bar, which is this bar, is my 10 till 2 bar. That previous completed bar had produced a new trade signal for me as it straddled the weekly open, so that was an ideal bar. So that gave me an each way trade of a long and short trade. So I placed my pending orders at the extreme limits of that bar. The short trade triggered for me, so I cancelled the long trade and the stop went to the high of that bar and the entry went to the low of that bar. The green line that you can see, they're my target levels based off 10% of a weekly ATR, which for me on the pound yen is 70 points, so each of those represents 70 points for me. The trade triggered for me on this bar, which was the 10 till 2 bar. On completion of that bar, which we've just had, I can move my stop loss to the high of that, as that bar has also formed an ideal bar, which is a bar that straddles the weekly open there. So I can put my stop loss to the high of that bar and also place a pending long entry at the high of that bar, which has now been voided as prices continue to move down. As you can see, it's just hit my first target there. So once the first target has been hit, my stop loss has been moved to 50% of where it was previously. So the stop loss was there previously, 50% of that stop loss area would have been around there. Now, as we'd already adjusted the stop loss area because of the new ideal bar, there's no action to take there, as the current stop loss level is at a better price than where the 50% level would have been. So no further action to take on there. I'm just going to continue monitoring that now for the rest of the day, and we'll see what happens. So they're the core swing trades I've got on at the moment. Had a euro dollar one, that's all gone, and pound yen has got 2 targets remaining, and nothing to do on the Aussie dollar yen. So that's it for this afternoon. Hopefully you've had a good morning on the snatch strategy, or you've caught some of these swing moves from yesterday if you weren't taking a day off yesterday. We'll see how the rest of the week goes. Have a good afternoon and a good rest of the week. Alright guys, thank you.